Hi, this is Simon Candy from Acoustic Guitar Lessons Online.net, and in today's lesson you're going to learn all about borrowed chords. Now, some of the greatest songs ever written have used borrowed chords. It's a very common concept, and as the name suggests, it's when you borrow a chord or more from a key other than the one that you are playing in at the time. So instead of sticking to diatonic harmony, which is only using chords that belong to the key that you're playing in, borrowed chords allow you to step out of the key momentarily by borrowing chords from a key that is not the key you're playing in. And used to great effect, they can really spice up your playing and add great interest to the chord progressions you play. In this lesson, I'm going to break down the concept of borrowed chords for you in great detail. I'm going to use the key of G major, and to begin, I'll lay out the diatonic harmony of G major so you know the chords that belong to the key. Then I'll show you the options you have for borrowing chords from the parallel minor key. So G major, the parallel minor key is G minor. They both have the root of G, so they're parallel to each other. And then I'll show you some borrowed chords used in actual music so you can see it in action. So let's get to it. There's some concepts that you can learn that are very simple but can really expand the sound of your chord progressions. So the first one I'll touch on here is borrowed chords. So for quite a few years when I was playing guitar, when I first started playing guitar, I would understand keys and chords, but often there would be a chord or two in the song that didn't belong to the key. And I'd be like, why is that happening? I didn't understand it for quite a while. I'd learned to hear it, and so I could kind of just go, okay, well, there's just a B flat in the key of C sometimes. Okay, cool. Seems to be a thing they do a lot in rock music. Okay, fine. So I'd kind of recognize patterns, but I wouldn't understand it. And it wasn't until I understood it that I could use it and really go to town with it if I wanted to, and help me understand music more, existing music that I would learn. So borrowed chords, the basic concept here is that you can borrow chords from other keys, not just any key, typically a parallel key. Let me give you an example here. Let's say we're in the key of G. So we've got diatonic chords in the key of G. These are chords that belong to the key. All the notes in each chord are notes that are in the key. So the chords are in the key, and the notes of the chords are the key. So we got G, we got A minor, we got B minor, we got C, we've got D, that's the 5 chord, 6 chord, E minor, half diminished or diminished 7th chord. Won't get that too much in mainstream music, but it's there, and back to G. They're the diatonic chords. Millions of songs, great classic songs have been written off those chords, but there is just as many other songs out there that would not exist if there wasn't this borrowed chord concept. So parallel key means a key that has the same root as the key you are in. So I could borrow chords in my key of G. I could borrow chords from G minor, and you'd see there's a select group of chords in G minor. Some chords cross over. This is why it works, because there's enough in common with these chords for it to still work, but to be a little bit different, because there are going to be notes in these chords that aren't in the key. So I'll give you a really great example of a chord progression that's using borrowed chords, and it's a song called Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden. So it's in the key of G. It's playing a G, B flat, F, an E minor, E flat, D, G, F, A flat, back to G. That is such a great chord progression, because we're in the key of G. We're in the key of G, but we are borrowing chords from G minor. So we've got this G chord, the 1 chord, borrowing the B flat. The B flat comes from G minor. It's the 3rd chord. Now, because we're in the key of G and not G minor, we would refer to that as a flat 3 major chord. Okay, we're relating it to the key. So how's the B flat relate to G major? Well, it's normally B is the 3rd degree, in G major. This is B flat, so it's a flat 3 chord. That's how we would relate it to in this particular context. So we've got this G, B flat, F is another borrowed chord. There is no F chord in G major, but there is in G minor, right? It's the 7 chord, and we would call this the flat 7 chord in G major, right? We're flatted the 7th. It's normally an F sharp, 7th degree, it's now F. Then we go to E minor, That's a diatonic chord, it's the 6th chord. Then we go to E flat, that is a borrowed chord from G minor. The flat 6 we would call that one. And then we've got diatonic D chord, we've got G, which is the root of course, back to the flat 7, flat 2, A flat, borrowed chord, to the G. And if you just track the bass of that chord progression, you've got the G, B flat, then you've got F, E, E flat, D, G, F. A great bass line, particularly that descending chromatic, voice leading again, that's created as a result of borrowing chords. So a lot of this stuff can kind of just pop up in your progressions when you apply certain concepts. So borrowed chords is a great example. Another quick one here that it's not always going to be like, that's a great example because it's using 3 of the very common borrowed chords, flat 3, flat 6, flat 7. You'll get a lot of those in a lot of rock and contemporary music. Another classic one, let's say we're in the key of C, playing 1 to 5, 4 major, and the 4 minor, back to C. That's a really beautiful sound going from that 4 chord to the minor 4 to the C. That's been done in a million songs. You'll get that in a lot of Beatles tunes. It happens in Radiohead, Creep. It gets up to that 4 chord, C minor, we're in the key G here now, back to the G. So there's a lot of songs where there will just be the odd chord here and there that doesn't fit in the key, but works really well and does really give you so much more to work with. And the basic reason in a nutshell why that works is because even though there are you're borrowing from a different key, they're parallel. There's enough in common. If you look at G minor and G major, there's common notes to both keys. Therefore, when I play a B flat chord, okay, the B flat's not in the key, or is the F, but the D note is. So there's at least one of the 3 chords, 3 notes in the borrowed chords that is diatonic to the key of G, often 2. So borrowed chords would be another concept that's great to understand because you can create with it, bring much more scope to the sound of your chord progressions.
For sure. And this also applies, by the way, to rock and metal. And one example that comes to mind right away is a Dream Theater song, Voices, off of the Awake album, especially in the chorus. They use F major to A major, which is basically, I guess if we think of it as F major, it becomes a major 3 chord in there, which is borrowed chord. So it's interesting that it applies to more than just any particular style that you might think it applies to. It applies to pretty much everything.
If you like this video, then you'll love this free ebook I've created for you in my Jazz Concepts for Acoustic Guitar series, simply titled Block Chords. In this ebook, you learn the 3 main block chord types for your guitar playing and how to create great music with them. I also show you how to best visualize these shapes on your guitar so you never forget them. It's as easy as changing one single note in each block chord shape. You also learn a system for easily relating the block chord shapes to each other all over the fretboard so you can play any chord you like in any position with ease. So click the link below in the description of this video and download your free copy of the ebook audio Jazz Concepts for Acoustic Guitar Block Chords. Let me know in the comments section what acoustic guitar topics you'd like to see covered in future videos. A lot of the suggestions I do get via the comments and by email do actually turn out to be videos that I create in the future. So if you want to see something, don't be shy, drop us a line in the comments below. If you like this video, then hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And of course, hit the all important notification bell button. That way YouTube will tell you when I've released a new video. This is Simon Candy from AcousticGuitarLessonsOnline.net. Thank you so much for being here. I always appreciate the time you take to check out my videos. I hope they help with your playing and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.